with 2022. I'll set the stage here. First year in history where stocks lost more than 10% and bonds lost more than 10%. I saw some data, our friends at Ned Davis Research, that long-term treasuries had like their worst year since the 20s. Saw some different data. There was like the worst year for bonds since like George Washington was the president. Worst year ever for the Barclays Ag, down over 13%. Oh, by the way, the S&P lost nearly 20% for its fourth worst year since at least World War II. My goodness, I can't believe I just said all these things. That sounds horrible. We made it, though. What was your biggest surprise last year? Let's start with that.
Wow, good question. And you think the Fed getting aggressive and all that was a surprise, but in a way, no, right? If inflation came out higher than expected, and obviously you would expect the Fed to, react to that. Dare I say, I don't want to say panic. No, maybe panic, especially considering what happened in June with the leak to the reporter and going from forward guidance of 50 basis points to 75 basis points within 2 days, simply because, consumer expectations of inflation came in at 3.2%, right? So there's that. But
now,
no,
I'll just say this. Be careful of what you're about to say, Sonu, because I made that joke. We want to send you to Jackson Hole. You might lose your invitation to Jackson Hole next August if you keep talking bad about my friends in the Fed. I'm going to say my friends. You never know when Big Brother's listening,
No, my biggest surprise is the consumer, how strong the consumer was, and especially consumer spending on goods throughout the year. Services, I think we expected services to come back. Especially, beginning of last year, remember, seems such a long way away. But, we were under, the Omicron was there, like the COVID variant, right? So people are still stuck in their homes in January. I think I had COVID. My daughter had COVID. A lot of people I knew had COVID. So, and thankfully, I wasn't very sick. I barely had any symptoms of it. But, you still had to stay indoors for 5 days or 7 days, whatever it is, quarantine, right? And you weren't out there spending. But then, so come February, March, and after, you expected services to rebound. That's what you saw. All the planes are full. I know you did a ton of traveling. Everything is full. Everything is packed. And It almost all came to a head Christmas Eve or Christmas season. I mean, I was away in India at the time, but, everything sort of broke down, right? I mean, everyone was in airports and the flights thing that whole thing was a disaster. Speaking of today, again, the FAA, had to halt flights. So, don't seem to be over that hurdle of, travel being ruined in some form or the other. But no.